Let me ask you a question. Are you really living by your own rules, or are you following a script someone else wrote for you? What if I told you there's a personal map, a kind of instruction manual to your most authentic self? Well, that's the big promise behind a system called human design. It's a guide to making decisions that are uniquely, and I mean uniquely, correct for you. And honestly, how it all started, it's one of the weirdest stories you'll ever hear.
So picture this. It's January 1987. The place? Ibiza. There's this guy there, a man who had literally just walked away from his entire life, and he has this terrifying encounter. A disembodied intelligence, something he just called the voice, speaks to him. And it asks him this one simple question: are you ready to work? For the next 8 days and 8 nights, this voice just downloaded an entire cosmology into him, a complete system that he would go on to transcribe and call the human design system. Crazy, right?
Yep, so that man's name was Robert Alan Krakauer, but he became known to the world as Ra Uru Hu. And get this, his wild, mystical encounter just happened to coincide with a massive cosmic event, a supernova explosion. Now, according to the story, this explosion just blasted our planet with this incredible stream of particles called neutrinos. And the system claims these tiny particles actually carry information that shapes our consciousness. It's a wild idea. So Ra spent the rest of his life sharing this knowledge, this system that's supposed to help all of us navigate our lives with way more clarity and purpose.
All right, so you're probably wondering, how does this mystical system actually work in practice? Well, here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with that strange encounter with the voice. Then we'll get into the big conflict it's trying to solve, the authentic self versus the not self. After that, we'll look at your personal navigation system, break down the 4 main energy types, and finally talk about how you can actually start living your unique design. Let's get into it.
Okay, first up, that encounter with the voice. So what exactly is this human design system that it's supposedly revealed?
Well, at its core, human design is called the Science of Differentiation. And really, that's just a fancy way of saying its whole goal is to show you exactly how you are uniquely wired. It's not about how we're all the same, but how we're all different. Now, the system makes this huge claim that back in 1781, humanity went through a major evolution. Think of it like a hardware upgrade for our energetic anatomy. We supposedly shifted from being these older, more strategic, 7-centered beings to the more complex 9-centered beings we are today. So human design is basically meant to be the new instruction manual for our modern internal operating system.
And according to this new user manual, the central challenge for pretty much all of us is this constant inner conflict.
This is the big battle, right? It's the authentic self versus the not self. Your authentic self, that's the real you. It's who you were born to be, your pure, unique nature. And when you're living from that place, it naturally leads to self-love. But then there's the not self. And the not self is basically all the conditioning you've picked up along the way, from your parents, from society, from culture. You know, all those, you should do this, you're supposed to be that messages. They mask who you really are, and that's what leads to all the frustration and self-criticism.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole problem. See, we're all taught to trust our logical minds to make decisions, right? But human design says, hold on a second. It argues that our mind is actually the part of us that's most easily conditioned by the outside world. The system says there's a much deeper, way more reliable intelligence inside your body, and it's something you've probably been ignoring your whole life. Ra Uru Hu put it perfectly. What you can rely on, you've never relied on in your life. What you've been trusting has never been you. What you've been ignoring has always been you. Powerful stuff.
So, the big question is, how do we actually tap into that inner intelligence? Well, the system gives us 2 really simple practical tools to do just that. And they're called your strategy and your authority. Think of it like this. Your strategy is basically the correct rule of engagement for you, how you're designed to interact with the world, with people, with opportunities. And your authority? That's your body's unique, built-in yes or no detector. It's your reliable intelligence for making decisions. When you use these 2 together, they create this amazing personal guidance system that lets you completely bypass the conditioned mind and start making choices that actually line up with your true path.
There's a brilliant analogy for this dynamic. I want you to imagine you're a passenger sitting in the back of a limousine. That limousine, the vehicle itself, that's your body. And you, the passenger in the back, that's your personality, who you think you are. Here's the key. You are not supposed to be driving. Your mind's real job is to just sit back, relax, and enjoy the view. So who's driving? The driver is this mysterious guiding force, The system calls it the magnetic monopole, and it's basically your inner compass. It already knows the destination. It knows the right way to go. Following your strategy and authority, that's how you finally stop being a backseat driver and let your true inner compass take the wheel.
Okay, so a really great place to start digging into your own design is by understanding the 4 fundamental energy types. This is kind of like the first big layer of what makes us all different. And this is where things get really, really fascinating. Think about it. Our entire society is built on this idea of go out and make it happen, right? Just initiate, be a go-getter. But just look at these numbers. According to human design, only about 9% of the population, the ones called manifestors, are actually designed to initiate action out of the blue. The vast majority of us, a whopping 70%, are generators. We're designed to respond to what life brings to us, not force things. This huge disconnect is one of the biggest sources of frustration on the planet.
So each of these 4 types has its own unique strategy for how to engage with the world correctly. For some, it's to respond. For others, it's wait for an invitation. And here's the cool part. When you follow your strategy, you start to feel your signature emotion. For a generator, that's satisfaction. For a projector, it's success. But when you don't follow your strategy, you slam right into your not-self theme, this emotional red flag like frustration or bitterness. The key is not to think of these feelings as bad things. They're just signposts. They're your internal GPS telling you, hey, you've taken a wrong turn. You've gone off your path.
All right, so how do you actually start living this stuff? Look, this isn't about blindly believing anything. It's a practical experiment. And the very first step is super simple. You just start observing your own mind.
So how do you actually catch your conditioned not-self mind in the act? Well, it usually shows up as that nagging inner voice. You know the one. In your personal human design chart, you have specific areas where you're most open to outside influence, and that's where your mind loves to create pressure. So just take a look at these questions on the screen. Seriously, read them. Do any of them sound familiar? That inner voice that's always pushing you to prove your worth, or telling you to hurry up and get things done so you can be free of pressure, or maybe to just avoid confrontation and the truth? That, right there, that is the voice of your conditioning. The very first step on this whole journey is to just start noticing it. No judgment, just notice.
You know, when you boil it all down, this is really the only question that matters. Human design gives you this incredible, fascinating map and a set of tools to work with. But the journey back to your authentic self, it's not about what you believe. It's a personal experiment. And it all starts by asking yourself, honestly, is the life I'm living right now, is it truly mine?
If this topic has captured your interest and you'd like to dive deeper, the book is called Human Design, The Definitive Book of Human Design by Ra Uru Hu and Linda Bonnell.